Hello, everyone, and welcome to another track guide. This week we're at Interlagos in the IRO4. Pretty spicy conditions, so very slippery track, I think, for this week. So just watch out for that. Interlagos, it's already really easy to spin. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. The other thing I'll note is that it's super easy to overdrive entries at Interlagos and then end up missing the corner. So just be careful in really being patient, smooth, and almost feeling slow on corner entry, but let's go ahead and take a look at the lap and then dive into the details. Before we have a look at our track conditions, I first want to show you how I generate the session to get those conditions. So I go to series list, search for IRO4, and then I select the correct series, so fixed in this case. I then go to schedule, select the correct track for that week, drive now, and then test drive. And that way we have the correct car, track, time of day, and date so that these conditions are within the realm of possibility for race sessions during this week. One quick note is that you do still have to select the correct setup. This won't guarantee that you are stuck on the fixed setup, so you do have to select that. But if you follow these steps, these are the same steps that I do to launch these test sessions, and so this is how we're getting those conditions. All right, and let's have a look at our track conditions. We've got a 26-degree air temperature and a very spicy 41 degrees Celsius track temperature with moderately low usage, so not a ton of rubber down either. This track did feel pretty slippery, so between the high temperature on track and the low usage, I think grip was a little bit hard to come by. The other thing to note is that last season we were running at noon, and this time this session is opening right around like 1:50. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit later on in the day, probably a little bit warmer. Um, as you can see here, pretty inconsistent laps. Like I said, just grip was really difficult. I think that's going to be something we're going to have to try to figure out this week and deal with. So I think lap times are really going to fluctuate based on track conditions. But ultimately, the one that we put together, I stopped immediately after this. I was just like, I can't do any more laps. Is this 34.642? So yeah, let's have a look at that and talk about it corner by corner. Turn 1 is tricky because we're braking hard as the track starts to drop away from us, so a smooth brake release and turn in becomes extra important. Our main focus is getting a strong exit here because it allows us to easily take turns 2 and 3 flat out. If we can do that, then we're not worried about lifting or braking until we get all the way down the back straight to turn 4. To set up for a good exit, we need to make sure that we don't run deep on entry. I try to start braking right around the 50 board, and as soon as I do, I turn my attention towards feeling the behavior of the car to ensure that I can commit to turn in when I need to. Our next key to a good exit is a later apex. When we get to the apex, we want to be facing mostly downhill so we can commit to throttle aggressively and set ourselves up to take turn 2 without any major lift or steering correction. If you look at what we do here, we mostly follow the outside of the track and the initial phase of the corner. Once we get close to the end of the wall on the left hand side, we commit to the corner fully as our eyes can start to spot the later apex that we're aiming for. Because we've set ourselves up for a late apex and a good exit out of turn 1, turn 2 becomes very easy. We can turn in aggressively and we're aiming to take all of the curb while avoiding touching the grass. If you touch the grass here or enter the curbing too early or tightly, there is a bump that can unsettle the car and cause a spin. The apex we're aiming for matches up with the white line in the road, and as soon as we know we're going to hit that, we move our attention to the exit curbing, which is also the apex curbing of turn 3. We can hit the exit curbing with a lot of speed, but we want to make sure that we're able to stay on the curb to avoid running too wide into the grass. There isn't much to say about turn 3 if we exit turn 2 properly. We can join right up with the inside curbing and follow it all the way around the corner until it opens up onto the back straight. I will note here that we fade to the outside of the track on exit, but in a racing situation where you're under pressure, you can stay tight on exit without any significant loss of time to set up for a better defense in turn 4. Turn 4 is somewhat similar to turn 1. We're still braking as the track starts to dip away from us, and we want a later apex to avoid running wide on exit as we aim for a good launch to carry us back up the hill. We can start by braking right around the access road on the right, and we're looking to be patient on turn in to ensure that we don't reach the curbing too early. If you look closely at the apex curbing, there's a grayish section that isn't striped anymore, and you're looking to meet up with the apex shortly after that area starts. On exit, you're looking to use a lot of the curb, but it's very sensitive to giving off tracks. On this particular lap, we didn't get an off track, but this is pretty much as far as you can go before you do. As we come off the turn 4 exit curbing, we head straight for the turn 5 apex. This is an easily flat out corner and there isn't really much to it. On exit, the only thing of note is that you don't want to go too far to the right so we can get back to the left to set up for a good turn 6. Turn 6 is a fast uphill corner that we can treat as a double apex along with turn 7. I use the flag stand on the left as a marker to start turning in, and we want to ease the car into the turn 6 apex, slowing just enough to keep things in control and avoid running wide on exit as we look to commit back to the turn 7 apex immediately after. It's very easy to run wide on the exit of turn 7 if you have too much speed at the apex, so we want to ease back into the throttle as we start to exit turn 6, looking for a controlled entry and exit to turn 7 because it leads directly into the braking zone for turn 8. For turn 8, we're looking to keep the car stable and take as much apex curbing as we can. As soon as the car straightens up out of turn 7, we want to get on the brakes and wait until we can spot the curbing before committing to the apex. On this lap, we took a good amount of curbing, but you can actually use all of the grass lattice on the very inside of the curbing, so we have a little bit more room, or about half a car's width, still available to us. The exit here immediately transitions into turn 9, so once again we're faced with focusing on not overshooting our exit to ensure that we can properly take the following corner. Overshooting exit or apex here will make it very difficult to have a good turn 9. Turn 9 is tricky because the exit of turn 8 blends directly into the entry of turn 9 as we start to brake heading downhill. It's really about being as gentle with the car as you can and trying to get a good exit out of the corner as we head back up the hill once more. We want to gently slow the car and allow it to settle as we hug the inside curbing. We're looking to stay in the camber that's available here, which allows us to commit back to full throttle a little bit before the middle of the corner for a good exit. On this lap, we do dab the brakes, but in grippier conditions, you may find a lift and coast does the trick. On exit, we want to use all of the curbing as we look for good acceleration going back uphill. Turn 10 is a little kink here, so there's not really much to note other than trying to get back out wide for the braking zone of turn 11. In my opinion, turn 11 has the best corner name, called Bico di Pato or Duck's Bill due to its shape. For turn 11, we're looking to open up entry as much as we can and start to brake right around the tree on the left. As we've seen with a lot of corners here, we're once again looking to be patient on turn in as we aim for a later apex and good exit. There's slight camber here, so we don't want to wait too long to turn in and miss it, but committing to the corner too early will also force us wide on exit. Unfortunately, I don't have a good turn-in marker here. It's really about keeping our eyes on the apex here and recognizing the moment that we know we can hit it. On exit, we want to just nip the curbing before we swing back to the middle of the track and head down the hill through turn 12. All of the striped curbing on exit is fair game here, but if you do go any further into the grass lattice, you will get a 1x. Turn 12 is another fairly straightforward sweeping corner that we can easily take flat out. We want to hug the apex curbing and aim to get to the exit curbing just as it starts to run out. Turn 13 is a very important corner because it leads to a very long climb up the hill, and we're flat out here from the exit until turn 1, so our focus is a strong exit. On entry, we want to open up the corner as much as we can by bringing the car all the way out wide. Generally, you're safe with about half of the car in the blue painted area. I should mention there is a bump in the grass lattice here, so if you don't go out wide enough, you're likely to hit that bump under braking and lock the tires. Because of this, you either need to fully commit to running all the way out into the blue or not use any of the lattice at all. I aim to start braking just after passing the first dark patch in the lattice, and I'm turning in with the goal of passing over the far left corner of the lattice where it meets back up with the asphalt. This trajectory avoids any problematic bumps as we get into the apex curbing, and it allows us to turn in a little bit more aggressively and commit back to throttle as we get there. On exit, it can be very easy to run wide and destroy our momentum, so you want to use some of the exit curbing, but really no more than we do here, otherwise the car can bottom out and it's very easy to end up in the grass. As we exit turn 13, we're looking to minimize the distance we run to the line. We want to stay tight here for turn 14 and then again for turn 15, cutting across the pit entry lines as we make our way down the main straight towards the finish line to complete our lap here at Interlagos. Once again, I just want to say a big thank you to anyone who has liked, subscribed, followed, commented, come and hung out on Twitch. Anyone who's watched the race of the week, we should have another one going up midweek again. I'm going to try to see if that series gains any momentum. But yeah, please do come hang out on Twitch at it's twitch.tv/slash El Gato con la Pipa. Or yeah, subscribe here if you've liked these. Give me a thumbs up if you'd like these. And if you have any suggestions or anything like that that you think would be useful to include in the videos, I am all ears. I'm all about making these way more useful for everyone. So anything I can do to help out with that, I'm all for. But until next time, good luck with your races and hope to see you out there.